Hey y'all, what's up? It's your girl Zan here, back at it again with another video. And this time you can tell I look a little bit different from the last time y'all saw me. And that's because I have finally had my baby. Face is looking a little bit slimmer, back to normal. Everything else is still getting back to normal, but we'll talk about that later. So this is going to be my labor and delivery story, the C-section edition, because as a lot of you know, I did have to have a C-section because my baby Nas was actually breached the entire pregnancy. I ended up delivering at 39 weeks in 1 day on January 9th of 2019. My baby boy is now 5 weeks old. From the day that I'm filming this video. So yeah, let's get into the story. So I have a few clips that I recorded from the day of the delivery, like the night before, the day of, like that morning, getting ready to go into surgery. But I didn't film anything following that because everything was such a blur. It was a lot. It was really intense. I really didn't expect for it to be that way. All right, y'all, so today is January 8th. It's currently like 9 p.m. or something like that. I just finished prepping, doing my skin prep and stuff for the surgery tomorrow, my C-section, to deliver my baby boy. And I'm about to get in bed and drink water until I fall asleep because I can't have anything to eat or drink after midnight. It's been a very long 39 weeks. I'm 39 weeks today. I gotta make sure I take a picture tomorrow morning of my belly and stuff so that I have a picture of my stomach before Nas comes out. So tomorrow I will be taking a picture of my last day pregnant, and then he will be gone. There will be no more belly.
No more baby bump, no more baby bump.
And my nipples hurt really, really bad. So yeah, I basically had to go into the hospital at 5:30 in the morning so that I could get prepped for delivery, so I can get my IVs. They ended up giving me 2 IVs. It was me, my mom, and my doula Melissa there, which you probably will see from the clips that I insert. And they gave me 2 IVs. I had to provide a urine sample, of course, and then basically it was a lot of waiting around, like being monitored. I got hooked up to the fetal monitor so they can monitor my contractions if I was having any, which I was, and monitor his heartbeat and stuff like that. So that happened. Then I met like a lot of nurses and doctors and stuff that I would be dealing with throughout my stay there, because I had to stay in the hospital 48 hours after delivering him. Yes, then anesthesiologist came in and basically walked me through the process of what they were going to be doing to me once I got into the ER, as far as like my spinal tap and stuff like that. And basically how to she gave me some like warnings, like, hey, this might happen, you might experience this, so be on the lookout for this so that you're not surprised, so that you don't start freaking out and stuff like that. So yeah, she gave me that whole spiel. I'm sleepy. I don't think he got much sleep either. He was moving around all night. You were moving around all night. I'm ready for this to be over. I'm sure you're ready for this to be over. So let's get this party started. Okay.
And Nas, this is your grandma. Say hi, Grandma.
Hello. So happy. It's here. It's time.
Happy birthday, Nas.
Happy birthday.
I was telling my mom yesterday and one of my best friends at work that Nas's birthday is actually the day, a year to the day that I found out I was pregnant with my first baby.
Oh, yes. It's come full circle.
Full friggin' circle. Yes. I was like, that's interesting. The first day, I literally took my first pregnancy test ever that came out positive on today. It was like 4 a.m. Like, and I freaked out and called my friend and woke her up out of her sleep because I was like, is this a line? I think I'm freaking pregnant. And then I was like crying and panicking and shaking. But yeah, so a whole year later, and we having a baby.
Yay.
I want to ask the patient. I bet you she knows.
Yes, Dr. Oda.
So I'll be damned if I was going to have surgery and I didn't know it was going to be. So, very simple, right? When you're ready, hop on up here. I'm sure you've been monitored before because you received that high risk, right? Desert perinatal? Okay, perfect. Very important before we do anything else. This is where people make stupid mistakes. Verify that's you. That's your correct date of birth and spelling, because I can imagine your name gets messed up.
It does. That's correct, though.
That is? Okay.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So, today is D-Day, aka Naz's birthday. We're all hooked up under here. And that is the monitors. And Mama's here. Well, Grandma. And Melissa, my beautiful doula, is here to get this boy here. Yep. So far, they've stuck me with 2 needles and given me 2 IVs, which hurt. And they stuck it to the hairiest parts of my arms, which is not about to be fun. And I'm on these monitors that I hate. I've grown to hate, but they serve a purpose, I guess. And yeah, we're just waiting at this point for the next step. They did an ultrasound to verify his position. Of course, he's still breech, but apparently one of his legs is like down at the bottom of my stomach, which is weird. All right, guys, things have started to percolate. We got another ultrasound, still very breech, still very stubborn, and I've met a lot of great people so far. The names, might not remember all of them, but yeah. And it looks like we're about to get this show on the road. Man with anesthesia, which is like the biggest part of this whole thing. So yeah, the next time y'all see me, I will officially be like a mom and stuff. So yeah, happy birthday, Nas. And then we started rocking and rolling really around 7:30 in the morning. I got moved from my my room into the ER, not the ER, the OR. And yeah, it was a lot different than I expected it to be. It's very cold in there. It's super like sterile and just like white, bland, and like everything silver from all like the cabinets and like all this stuff. It was not the best place to be. They had my mom wait outside because my mom came into the OR with me so that she could be the first one to see Nas and like, you know, be with him while they did all the little cleaning and stuff like that. And yeah, so they had me lean over, like sit on the side of the little operating table and like lean over and like hug myself basically. And they hit me with the needle. They gave me 2 shots in my back. The first one was to like numb the area, and then the second one is where they actually put in the spinal block that basically numbed me from my like halfway, like my nipples down basically. Everything was numb. And then they inserted my catheter, and then basically prepped me, laid me out, put up the little like clear veil or whatever, because I opted to have the clear veil versus the blue one so that I could see like what was happening when they pulled him out. I ended up not being able to see, which kind of sucks, but I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't see, because I did see like little squirts of like blood like popping up onto the little clear sheet, which is a little freaky. But I don't know, it was a lot. So yeah, she had warned me that when they started like doing like really getting into the surgery and stuff, that I would feel a lot of pressure in my stomach, but I would also feel a lot of pressure into my chest. and it would feel like basically an elephant was sitting on my chest, which I did experience, and it was really, really freaking intense. Like, my mom was sitting over my left shoulder holding my hand, and the anesthesiologist was sitting over my right shoulder, basically monitoring me, making sure I was good. I started to get the shakes, and she had warned me about that before. She was like, hey, don't try to stop yourself from shaking, just like go with it, like it's just a like side effect of like having the medication and stuff. So had to do all that. And my mom, like, it was so intense, like you could just feel them. Like, I couldn't feel anything, like no pain, but I definitely felt all the pressure. Like, it was a lot of freaking pressure. Like, I've never experienced anything like that in my whole entire life. They were like you can feel them like cutting through each layer of skin and going deeper and deeper into your stomach, which is crazy because you freaking awake during this whole process, and they're literally, you could just feel them get deeper and deeper into your body. Just based off like how, like, I don't know, I was just really aware of where they were in my body, which was kind of crazy for me, because I had never had surgery before this. I've only had my wisdom teeth taken out, so this is my first major surgery. And yeah, I got a baby out the deal, but it was crazy as hell. So yeah, then they kind of just yeah, my mom kept having to like remind me, because they were like pulling, like as they would cut through a layer, they would pull my belly, like pull my stomach apart or whatever. Oh, I felt the effects of that afterwards in my recovery. But yeah, so like it was so much pressure, it was so intense, it was bringing tears to my eyes. Not because I was in pain, it was just so much pressure, and I kept getting that pressure all the way up into my chest, and I would forget to breathe, and my mom was like holding my hand, and she would just like whisper into my ear, like, keep breathing, don't stop breathing, just keep breathing, it'll be all right, they're almost there. And then I finally felt them like get to, well, they announced, my doctors announced that, you know, they had finally made it to the uterus, and that they were about to make the incision so they can get my baby boy out. And I was like, my heart was racing, I was so nervous, because this is my first major surgery, this is my first surgery for one, and then like this is the moment I'm about to become a parent. Like right now, like I'm about to be somebody's mama. Like I'm a mom before, you know, giving birth, because I'm carrying a child. I've, you know, created this being inside of my body, and I'm carrying it. But like it's just about to get real, like as soon as he makes this first incision like into my uterus. So they cut into the uterus and stuff, and then like they pull it apart or whatever, and they're like, you know, getting them out. And then the first thing they saw when they cut into my uterus was his penis, which is, you know, very common for my child, because throughout my pregnancy he was very stubborn. He wouldn't show his face, but he always showed his junk. So I have multiple ultrasound pictures of my baby's penis, but I only have like 2 of his actual face. So yeah, that's just the type of baby I got. He's just, I don't know, he marches to the beat of his own drum, which is cool with me. So he came out, he was breeched, and he was kind of folded like a taco, like this, with his butt down here. His head was up here under my rib cage on the right side, and then his legs were up towards the left side of my stomach. So they pulled him out, they kind of pulled him out a little bit by his butt, and then like pulled his legs down, and then they were kind of trying to wiggle him out, and he was kind of stuck. He was like jammed up under my rib cage, so they had to like wiggle him out or whatever, and they had to push on the top part of my rib cage to actually pop his head out. And like basically as soon as they did that, like he started screaming to the high heavens. Like my child just like wailed in that room. Like he was born at 8:04 a.m. on January 9th, 2019, and everybody in the, like, you know, labor and delivery floor, like everybody knew he had entered this world, because he was making it known. Okay, like there was never a question of whether or not he was born, because he came out, and they had tried to warn me, you know, that, you know, when he came out he might not cry immediately, because he would probably be in shock, because he wasn't head down, and it's basically a surprise that he's gonna be born. It's a surprise to him, we all know, but he's gonna be shocked and surprised that, you know, he's being born right now, because he just been chilling, then all of a sudden boom. But no, none of that. As soon as they popped his little head out. He was screaming and crying and stuff, and immediately when I heard him cry, like I just started like bawling my eyes out. Like I just started crying so hard. I don't think I've cried that hard without getting a whooping in my life. Like, I was in there like bawling my eyes out and just like crying so hard, and I just kept telling my mama, like, that's my baby, like that's my baby, like that's my son. And like I'm getting kind of teary-eyed right now just even talking about it, like, because it was so intense. It was such a crazy like experience. And then to carry this child for 39 weeks and 1 day and then have him finally be born was a lot for me, because you know my pregnancy wasn't the easiest, and our situation isn't the easiest, but like it had all finally come to like a head, and it had all finally come to the end of one journey and the beginning of another. And yeah, so they took him out, and then they like took him over to the warmer and stuff, and my mom went over to like see him. My mom was the first one to see him and stuff, and she, oh my goodness, he's so beautiful. And yeah, so they were like cleaning him off and stuff, and like my mom was like taking pictures of him, and she like came over and showed me a picture, and I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like me, like he looks just like me. And that kind of tripped me out, because he looks exactly like I looked when I was a baby, except I was fatter than he was. But yeah, he looks exactly like me. And yeah, originally we had planned to do skin to skin in the OR while they closed up. They were supposed to put him on my chest, and they had started to prepare for that. They were moving the little covers back and stuff, and my mom was going to help, you know, hold him on my chest because I was still shaking or whatever from the anesthesia. So she was gonna kind of, you know, put a hand on him too to like help keep him in place and stuff on my chest while they closed up and stuff. But when he was born, he wasn't they put him in the warmer and was cleaning him off and stuff. He was when he was born at 7 pounds 2 ounces and 20 inches long, but he wasn't keeping his body temperature. He wasn't able to, like, his body temperature kept dropping every time they would warm him up. When they would, you know, try to move him, his temperature would drop again. So basically we couldn't do skin to skin because his temperature was dropping, and then I started to get really cold as well. So they had to put like a bunch of like warming blankets on me. They had to swaddle him. They double swaddled him, put him on like a diaper, of course, and then they put him on this little like gown thingy, and then they wrapped him up in 2 blankets to like keep him warm, and then they had to put him in the warmer in our recovery room or whatever. And basically it was like a good hour or so before I could actually like hold him. And it's so crazy because when we were in the OR before we moved to our room or whatever, like I kept like looking over my shoulder to see if I could see him, because there were so many nurses and techs and, you know, like doctors and stuff like around him, you know, checking him, weighing him, doing all this stuff, doing all the tests and stuff to make sure he was good. And my mom was over there as well. Like everybody kept blocking the way, so I could never see him. But this one time I like look over my shoulder and I like look up and I open my eyes, and literally just for like a few seconds somebody had moved out of the way and he was like looking up. It was almost like he was looking for me, because he looked up and his eyes were open, like big and bright, and it almost looked like he was just like looking at me. Like I know he can't see that far, but it was just like we were looking in each other's eyes, and I was just like bawling my eyes out. And I know he couldn't hear me because there was so many people in there like talking and doing all this stuff, but I was just like talking to him like, hey baby, like I'm your mama, like I'm right here, like all this stuff. So yeah, and then when we got to the room, they had him wrapped up, and I couldn't like do skin to skin with him and all that stuff, because he was still, you know, like losing his temperature. And then I actually started, my body temperature started to drop as well. So until we both got, you know, like a little bit more regulated, they, you know, wouldn't let us do skin to skin and stuff, which means it took a while before I got to breastfeed. But eventually he got right, I got right, and yeah, they brought him over to me, and I was able to, you know, unwrap him, do a little skin to skin. We started trying to breastfeed, and breastfeeding, even though it's instinctual, it's hard as fuck. Like breastfeeding has definitely been like one of the hardest things I think I've ever had to do. outside of moving around after having a C-section. My recovery was very hard, very intense, which is why it's now a month later and I'm doing this labor and delivery like story or whatever, because it was so hard trying to, you know, like breastfeed, figure out how to breastfeed him, figure out the mechanics of how like we both work. And then the doctors coming around the clock, nurses coming around the clock, check me, check him, do all this stuff. And then I'm trying to feed him, and then he's not eating, and then he is eating, and then it's painful, then it hurt, like it doesn't hurt, and then all this. Like it was just a lot. So I didn't end up picking up my camera, my phone at all to record anything after. I'm now 5 weeks postpartum, and I'm finally feeling a lot better. And my belly is like going down a lot. My heaviest weight while pregnant was 166. I started out at 123. I'm now down to 139. So I want to stay within the 135, 140 range. So hopefully soon I'm able to start back working out. All right, so that's how, oh my goodness. Oh, my boobs are tingling. So it's probably time for me to feed my baby. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up this video. That's what my stomach looks like. That's basically the gist of how my son came into this world. Nasim Amir Smith, it's his name, and breast milk is his game. Okay, that's it. Like, thank y'all for watching. I appreciate y'all's support and y'all's patience, and I will see y'all in my next video.